Good morning, everyone. Welcome to this channel, our channel, as I like to call it, because, without you, there would be no channel. So thank you all for being here. Thank you for watching my videos. Thank you for liking and sharing them and subscribing as well. And to show your support, if you haven't yet subscribed, please do so. Just click that little button there. I'd so much appreciate it. Okay, we've got a really important video today. This topic is key. It's at the heart of everything. And the title is Forgive, but do not condone. You have to be a rebel in order to heal from narcissistic abuse. And I'd like to suggest that this is part of the healing that sometimes goes amiss with inner child work. And that's what we're talking about today. The part that I believe that is missing, that is key, and that is going to move you forward out of the past, but also out of your present situations, which will be mirroring that past childhood where you're still stuck. And once we start to do this rebellion back then, you will find that the rebellion takes place within you as the adult today in your life. And it's so empowering. And that's exactly what a rebellion is about. Rebels experience disempowerment. And so they rebel against this control, this unjust impingement on their freedoms, and they rebel against it. And by so doing, they bring about a revolution, a change. And that's exactly what we have to do inside, in our inner world, in order to heal, especially if you've had a narcissistic parent. But actually, I think every child, every person on the face of the planet needs to go back and look at the impact of their childhood, because there's no family on the planet that has no dysfunction. Every single family does. It's part of human experience. So we're all called to do this. But like I say, particularly so if you come from a narcissistic family system, because rebellion there is virtually a death wish. Okay, so what sparked this video this morning was, as many of you know, I'm a person of faith. I'm a spiritual woman. I grew up Catholic, and I still very much, have a belief in the universe, in God. I often read the scriptures or verses from the Bible to help me in my own healing journey and in my connection to the healing work of the universe. Now, this morning I just happened to come across a little line and it jumped out at me, and it was a point where Jesus stood up, looked at all the Pharisees and just said, "You're a brood of vipers." The audacity of it. He just stands up and says, he just looks at them and goes, "You're a brood of vipers." Now, this is the rebellion I'm talking about. This is the rebel spirit in you that we have to connect you with in order to bring about the revolution, in order to take back your power so that you can have it now, because you were disempowered back then. So we've got to find the power back then so that you can get it now. What a lot of healing work today looks at is, yes, doing inner child work. In other words, what do I mean when I say that? It means, going on a rescue mission to help the inner child. A lot of the focus today, though, is about going back to traumatic scenes, and trying to tell the inner child that you are good enough. You are lovable. I love you. I'm here for you now. You are lovable. And yes, these are things that that inner child in you needs to hear. But the thing is, there's a block. You know, that inner child is not actually looking to be rescued yet, nor fixed yet. What they're wanting from you most of all is to be seen and to be heard. And until we can make the inner child feel seen and heard by somebody in the traumatic scenes that are the most pertinent in their backgrounds, then that child is not going to be able to take in those words of fixing because there's a step missing. So this is the work that I do with clients. We go into hypnosis. We do regression. So we will call upon the subconscious mind to bring out only the key, perhaps difficult memories that are still somehow having an impact on the adult today. We go back, we ask the subconscious to bring those out. And what we do is, and I accompany the client, we go in and we observe with the inner child. We see what's happening from their point of view. And we begin a dialogue with the inner child. What are you believing about yourself here? How are you feeling? What's it making you feel? And we validate that. We give empathy where empathy is needed. That little child needed empathy, needed somebody to see from its perspective. Because what happens in narcissistic households is that the child sees it from the parent's perspective. They see themselves from the parent's perspective, but they're never able to see it from their own. And so this is a key part of the work that needs to be done, in my view. But that's only the first bit. So we give empathy to your inner child. But then there's the next bit. Then there is the standing up by you as the adult you on behalf of this little child and calling out the brood of vipers. Now, this is the part that many of my clients just don't want to do. They'll just say, look, I understand, it's from her childhood wounds, it's from his difficult background, they were doing the best they could with what they had at the time. I can't blame them. And all of this is condoning the neglect that little child experienced in childhood. So virtually what you're doing when you say, I can't do that, you're abandoning that little child who needs you, who never had anybody to stand up for them and defend them and protect them and call it out. It's not a blaming. It's not a criticism. It is a calling out of injustice. And for whatever reason that has taken place, it's irrelevant in this moment right now. That can come later, the understanding from the other's perspective. But right now, we've got to see it from your perspective. And you've got to be adamant about this. There's got to be a certain feistiness, an indignance on your part that, now hang on a second, if I saw a little child in this situation, I'd be the first one to stand up and call a halt to it or call it out. You'd be possibly more willing to do it for somebody else's child than you would for your own. So the work we do in hypnotherapy now is to stand up, speak up, and call it out. To say, how dare you? How dare you, mum, dad, neglect this little girl? She needed you. How dare you allow her to be abused by this person? How dare you emotionally neglect her? How dare you not spend time with her? How dare you get her to be your parent? How dare you use her? How dare you put your needs above hers? How dare you not consider her? How dare you not think of her? How dare you not empathize with her or him? And we call this out, we call out the brood of vipers. It's often very easy to do with the parent who was the most abusive. And it's not so easy to do for the parent who perhaps wasn't, because, you think, well, they were trying to do their best with this other awful parent. Well, actually, no. Often I find clients hold the most anger to the parent who stood by and did nothing and turned a blind eye. Because that's also participating in abuse. We see it, with what's his name? Jeffrey Epstein. And I can't remember her name now, but she's gone to jail. She's in prison now for standing by, for enabling. So it's often the enabling parent that we harbour the most hidden anger for, and that we really need to speak up and out against. So it's virtually standing up for that inner child and looking around and going, you selfish lot. Now, I know that sounds dramatic, but it's got to be done. It's got to be done if you want to heal your present day life. Because if you don't do it back there, you are going to be enabling it in your present day. You are going to be denying it. You're going to be putting up with it. You're going to be gaslighting yourself. You're going to be minimizing your experience and putting up with further abuse. And saying to that inner child, this is all you deserve. This is all you're worth. You don't deserve more than this. And this is the greatest of injustices. I don't care what anyone else did to you. It's what you do to you. It's what you say you're worth at the end of the day. It's what you tell yourself you've got to put up with. That is the most abusive. So we have to do this. We have to change this. So virtually what we're saying to the ones that first wounded us is wake up, get a grip, step up. You take responsibility for your own BS, because this little girl or boy is getting out of here and she's not putting up with it anymore. And then in hypnosis, we'll be saying this, you'll be talking to your inner child and I'll be helping you say these words if you need my assistance. Some clients don't, they just run with it. But you'll be saying things along the lines of, you deserve better. This is not what you should put up with. You should never justify this. Never. Don't settle for it ever again. I won't let you enable this treatment ever again. This neglect, this sexual abuse, this being used. I am your defender now. I am your protector. I am your safe place, and I've got your back. You're not alone anymore. I hear you. I see you, and I love you. Now there, the inner child can take that in because they believe it and they know it. And I'm going to bring you the right ordering of things now. It's like you're saying to this inner child, we're rebelling, you and me together. And we're never, ever looking back on that. We're leaving that shame, that role behind, and we do it with forgiveness. We can forgive them. We can forgive our parents. Yes, the abuses they've been through, etc. But by heck, we are not condoning it anymore by abandoning that inner child and telling it to just shut up, get on with it, and to accept that it's lovable. No. There's so much more needed. And it is a kind of rescue mission, but there's a step before, as I was saying. There's I would call it more like a rebellion mission. um, yeah, it's a rebellion that needs to take place. We can forgive, but we do not condone, either back then nor in the present where it will be playing out for you still today if you haven't done the rebellion back then. I hope this makes sense. Please leave your comments. I love reading them. I do try to respond to them all. Yeah, let me know. Have you been connected to your inner rebel? And you don't even have to wait to work with me or another therapist. You can start doing that today. Connect to that inner rebel within you. And that inner rebel is going to help you take back charge over the ego, which is the narcissistic parent still trying to keep you in denial, empathizing with the parent instead of with you. Take back charge. You are lovable. You are good enough. And you deserve the best. And I'm here to help you get it. It's my great joy and my great honor. So check out my website if you'd like a free consultation, www.delightingyou.com. Take care, everyone, and see you soon.